Hey Truth Seekers, welcome back. Zach here. In this video, I want to talk about the Back to the Future Part 2 prophecy of a Chicago Cubs World Series in 2015. I want to talk about the Steve Bartman incident in the National League Championship Series against the Marlins. And I want to talk about Theo Epstein coming to the Cubs after helping break the curse in Boston. All of these things have a connection. We're also going to touch on a few other things, such as Barack Obama's current age and what that has to do with baseball and a possible World Series for Chicago. We're even going to talk about the Pirates, who the Cubs face tonight in the National League wildcard game. So looking here at the facts from Back to the Future Part 2, what stands out the most is where Michael J. Fox's character learns that the Cubs won the World Series in 2015. He learns it from the USA Today, which has gematria of 106. The Cubs have not won the World Series since 1908. That's 107 years ago. However, there was no baseball World Series in 1994 due to the player strike. So this will be the 106th World Series this year since the Cubs won it. Again, it says the Cubs win in 2015 in the USA Today. So we have this 106 connection. Also, keep in mind that 106 is the number of prophecy. Also here, Truth Seeker, the date that the Cubs win is quite fascinating. Let me show you why. This date has a numerology of 66, just like the word World Series, which has gematria of 66. We're talking about the Chicago Cubs, the CC, the 33. When you write out 33, it sums to 66. This year, the Cubs had 33-1 odds to win the World Series before the season began, I should say. They were ranked as the 16th most likely team to do so. Only the numbers 16 and 90 have gematria of 33. Today's NL wildcard game takes place on a date with 16 numerology. And when we're talking about 106, drop the 0, you're left with 16. So these numbers have a connection in numerology. This date, also October 21st, 2015, from Back to the Future Part 2, is also a date with 46 numerology, just like the word Chicago. And if you read what happened in the movie, somehow in time, the World Series became a best-of-9 series again, like it was back in the old days of baseball. Once upon a time, it was a best-of-9 series. Let me show you something. Best-of-9 Pythagorean gematria equals 46. Chicago Simple English gematria equals 46. Chicago Cubs Pythagorean equals 46. And here's another possible clue from the New York Post, also alluding to this Back to the Future Part 2 article. On August 10th, they wrote this article. Could it be true? Here's what's interesting. From August 10th to October 6th, when the playoffs began, is a span of 57 days. The word World Series, the small way, equals 57. From August 10th, the date of the article, to the day the World Series begins, October 27th, is a span of 11 weeks and 1 day. This year will be the 111th World Series. This article is from the New York Post. New York has gematria of 111. Earlier this year, a train crashed in Pennsylvania traveling 106 miles per hour on its way to New York. 106. That's the number. Also, if it went to Game 7 of a World Series this year, it would conclude November 4th, which is 86 days from the prediction. 86, a very special number. That's how long the curse of the Bambino lasted in Boston. It's also connected to this Back to the Future prophecy because it says the Cubs will win against the Miami team, which are the Marlins. And of course that's not possible because the Marlins and the Cubs are in the National League. But just rolling with that, Marlins has this gematria of 86, the number of the curse for the Red Sox. Theo Epstein was the president of operations in Boston when the curse was ended. He is now in Chicago. Theo Epstein helped end the curse in Boston. He might do it in Chicago. Now here's the next thing I want to talk about, Truth Seeker. I've recently come to figure out that 140 is connected to 106. The man blamed for keeping the Chicago Cubs out of the World Series in 2003 is named Steve Bartman, 140. Come back here for a second. In this prophecy from Back to the Future Part 2, they're trying to find out the next 25 World Series, which has Pythagorean gematria of 144. Very recently, Max Scherzer gave us a clue about 140 and 106. Max Scherzer threw 2 no-hitters this year. The first one was of 106 pitches. The second no-hitter came 106 days later. He became one of few pitchers to throw 2 no-hitters in one season. The first ever person to do it was Johnny Vandermeer, who died October 6th, a lot like 106. And the most recent pitcher to do it was Roy Halladay, playing for the Phillies at the time, who got his second no-hitter, one in the regular season, one in the postseason, also on October 6th. And what's real creepy, Truth Seeker, this is a little tangential. I just finished writing a post about how Fox News' Shepard Smith gave this bogus prophecy about the Juan de Fuca plate causing this massive earthquake that could kill more than 10,000 people in the Pacific Northwest. Notice Fox News has gematria of 106. Shepard Smith has gematria of 140. And notice how false prophet matches Shepard Smith. His prediction was about the Juan de Fuca plate, which also has gematria of 140. So this 106, 140 thing, it's something that's been popping a lot. It's here even in the Back to the Future prophecy. It's also in the recent Max Scherzer no-hitters and more, but that's a little taste. Steve Bartman was sitting in seat 113. Amazingly, when the incident happened, 113 is a favorite number of the Zionists. I don't know if somehow this was scripted in amazing fashion. Notice that the ball sold for $113,000 to be destroyed, or if this is some sort of major coincidence, but it blows my mind a little bit. Anyhow, just realize that the Steve Bartman thing is connected to the Back to the Future prophecy. It happened against the Marlins. Again, in the Back to the Future prophecy, Miami, the Miami Marlins, the Florida Marlins, they're part of the prediction. Theo Epstein, he was brought to the Red Sox on November 25th, 2002, a date with 58 numerology matching the gematria of Sox. Red Sox have that gematria of 85. In the Back to the Future prophecy, they're trying to predict from 85 to 2010. Theo Epstein has a life number of 133. The odds this year for the Cubs to win the World Series before it began were 33-1 again. Theo Epstein also has name gematria that connects to Chicago. 55-64, Chicago Cubs is 46-55. Very similar numbers. I just did a video on the curse of the Billy Goat. Please check it out. I just want you to understand that it is the synagogue of Satan, the false Jews, the Zionist Jews who are behind all this rigging. They control Hollywood. They control the sports leagues. They control the media. It's how prophecies such as this can be fulfilled. The Zionist state of Israel was recognized by a 33-member vote on a date with 106 numerology. There's a documentary on this, a pro-Zionist film. If you listen to the film, you have to listen to rhetoric such as Jews are God's chosen people, God only does miracles for Jews that he doesn't do for other people, yada, yada, yada. He goes, in the film, he goes, the date the UN recognized Israel was a date of prophecy. Of course, the movie doesn't explain gematria or numerology, but just understand prophecy equals 106. The date Israel was recognized by 33 member states was a date with 106 numerology. The Zionists run this world. When Obama became president, the first thing he did was went before the Israel lobby, AIPAC. Notice that baseball has gematria of 54. The current president is 54 years old. Should Chicago win a World Series, I think it has a lot to do with Obama, who gave his acceptance speech to be the president in Chicago, being 54 at this moment in history. Again, those Cubs odds, 33-1, 16th best team, the 33 connections. Now here's the big piece, Truth Seeker. Today they play the Pirates, who have more 106 connections than the Cubs. The Pirates won the World Series in 1909, 106 years ago. They have a lot of 33 connections like the Cubs. They are the only team with a manager who has 106 gematria. Managers prove a lot in baseball. It seems that when baseball championships are won, it has more to do with the manager than anything else. He is the only manager with 106 gematria. Again, the train wreck was in Pennsylvania, where the Pirates are from, happened on a date with 106 numerology. The Pirates were established in history, Truth Seeker, on a date with 106 numerology, October 15th, 81. A date with 106 numerology. If the Cubs advance past the Pirates, I think that the reason that they were matched up for the wild card is because of these 106 numbers. Should the Cubs win tonight, I'm going to be thinking a lot about them to win the World Series, but if you're not aware, I predicted the Mets to win the World Series before it even began because it's the 111th World Series. The Mets are due. New York has gematria of 111. Look at this article from yesterday. Bobby Valentine, the old manager, says the Mets will win on October 6th at 1:06 p.m. How about that? 1:06 p.m. The numbers on the screen from this article are 355, the number of Talmud, the Zionist favorite book. The Zionist two favorite cities are New York and Chicago, though, Truth Seeker. Very possible that this ends up being the National League Championship. Bobby Valentine has gematria of 888, like Brandon Bostian, the engineer of the train that crashed at 106 miles per hour. It was train number 188. Matt Harvey, the big talk of the year, enters the postseason with 188 strikeouts. And just so you know, I made a prediction that there might be a Subway series on May 12th, just hours before the train wreck. My video was frozen on 188 views for a whole week, just like with this train number. This was train number 188 that wrecked going 106 miles per hour. So the people who are responsible for this, they watch my channel and they F with me. Real truth, Truth Seeker. Been exposing this kind of stuff all year. So anyway, just wanted to give you that heads up. That is the connections behind the Back to the Future Part 2 coding. All right, until next time.